Hey, I know some of these people.
Wow,
I
look
know
at
some.
that, man. You guys got you guys are off to a running start right out of the gate, man. Jeez.
All right, these are my people. Welcome,
These are-
welcome.
Not all of them are your people. They're kind of my people now, so that's a little.
Well, I'm just saying, if this is like an above average attendance, I'm just saying, like,
I
what's the
didn't go
common?
that far. I didn't give you that much credit. I just said there's a lot of people waiting. That's what happens when you start late, when you're yapping in the background and I can't hit start. You're busy talking. Can't do that.
So where is everybody
right.
from? Can they comment?
Yes, they can comment. You guys can comment in the chat. All right, guys. First of all, thank you everyone for being here today. This is going to be a great session. Some very good friends of mine are here, and Nate is here also. No, just kidding. Yeah, this is going to be a great session. First of all, there are some new people on here, so kind of put in where you're from, so Nate and Tessa know. And I explained to them that this is our group weekly coaching call that we do with everybody. This is very special. Nate, I've known Nate for probably 8 years. We met back with Charles Yarber in Seattle. And when Nate was working with Charles, still does, flipping properties, doing all the stuff, had a couple great events with him. And then in 2019, I believe it was 2019, I went to Maui, and I was invited to Maui with Brandon Turner. It was at his house and other stuff. AJ Osborne, who is Tessa Osborne's husband, was there, who's kind of the king of self-storage facilities. There was a bunch of like rock stars in the making. Now that you look back, that were at this event, Ryan Pineda. I mean, just the list goes on and on of rock stars, entrepreneurs, really. Ryan Murdoch. Anyways, we became very good friends, a very close-knit community of just amazing humans. As time went on, I got to meet Tessa, who is AJ's wife. And we've just all become very, very good friends. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what vehicle we're using, whether we're roofers, plumbers, property managers, real estate investors. I always say the same thing. We are entrepreneurs. We are business owners, and we are entrepreneurs, and we are just trying to build a better life for ourselves. We're just using a different vehicle for it. Some people use real estate. Some people use property management, roofing. It doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in what you do. Get caught up in the goal of where you want your life to go. And I think that's more important. I think as entrepreneurs, and I say this respectfully, I think sometimes we can be very selfish people, in the sense that we spend all this time trying to build ourselves up, trying to educate ourselves, doing these calls, but we very seldomly share it with the people that we're doing it for. And to me, that's selfish, because we don't do it on purpose. We're trying to be the providers. We're trying to take it on ourselves, but there could be misalignment with your family. If you're doing all these things and they're like, I have no idea what he's doing. He's at another event. He's doing this funny acronym now. I have no idea. He's borrowing money. And, I know this because when I was buying a bunch of properties, my wife was like, how much is enough? Like, when are you going to stop? I'm like, stop. I'm doing this for us. Like, what do you mean? I'm building a future. She's like, us? You never once asked me what I thought about it. You've never brought me into the loop. I have no idea what you're doing. I'm like, well, that's because you may say no. I don't want to bring you in. I want the yes. Anyways, my point is that what a lot of people suffer from as entrepreneurs is the passing of the torch of entrepreneurship, of inclusion of your family, including everyone to be on the same vision track. Not about being a roofer or plumber or real estate investor. I think that's just the strategy that the mechanism you are using to achieve a goal. Sometimes our goal gets blurry. We get caught up being busy, and we forget why we're doing it. Nate reached out to me, and he and Tessa partnered on this program that they feel is going to help people with that misalignment. So Nate, I'll let you guys kind of take it from here, because I don't want to mess it up, but that's just the lead up to this.
No, that was a great introduction, Steve. Thank you. What people don't realize man, are you guys cold? I'm just
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
could just use like a little extra layer. Do you
Oh
mind if
my
I,
God. I cannot believe.
I
See,
will,
you
I
bring
will,
this
I will put
up.
it on.
You bring this on yourself. So now you got to tell the story. Now you got to tell the story.
All right, all right. So this is a very healing moment for Steve. We're still been working through this.
Oh yeah, we are.
Back in like what 2020. So we're doing the Maui Mastermind. We're hanging out together. Steve and I are super close, like just the closest can be. And so what happened was there ended up being 2 email tracks on the Maui Mastermind, right? So there was like the people who came the first year, and then the people who came second year, and then anyway. And so one of our friends was having this incredible race down in Bend, Oregon, and we're all like, "Hey, let's go support him." And so I was kind of leading the charge on putting this event together, and I was like, okay, cool. So I email what I thought was the entire group, and after a couple of weeks, people aren't responding. The people who want to go did respond, and so after 2 weeks, I just went straight down to that one group. So anyway, have an amazing event. So fun, lots of fun pictures. We went to the last blockbuster in the world, which is down in Bend, Oregon, and super rad. And so we post all these photos, and all of a sudden we get this comment on the post. I would have liked to come, from our dear friend Steve. And I was like, oh,
I'm wearing right now.
Oh my God, you're just rubbing it in. And
business on the top, blockbuster on the bottom.
Yeah, let's go. So anyway, so we're working through this. Steve has a tendency to feel like I just keep leaving him out of things. And, I would never do that intentionally, except for that one time. Yeah. So
I
anyway,
think we should move on at this moment.
I just would like to get to the point where we're fully healed together and we can actually just let it go. But I think we're going to need some more time, but
I don't see that.
I don't know how deep you want me to go, but my name, like, should we do introductions, like, for those that don't know me? Yep. My name is Nate. I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, and back in 2016 got involved in real estate with a guy named Tarl Yarber. I don't know if you guys know him. And so we were a high volume fix and flip company. We were doing probably 30 to 40 flips a year up here in Seattle, Tacoma area. And I was running acquisitions for them. So like my bread and butter and what probably I geek out the most on is like off market wholesale stuff like that. So if you ever need help with that, happy to I could chat for a long, long time on that kind of stuff. Our business then kind of pivoted. We started doing more events. And so we launched something back in 2019 called the Pacific Northwest Big Badass Real Estate Wealth Expo. That's a mouthful. And then that we grew that to being the largest real estate expo conference on the West Coast. And then Tarl ended up partnering with Ken McElroy down in Arizona, and we launched the Limitless Expo. And so it's between 1,000 and 1,500 person event we do every year. Last 2 years were in Scottsdale. This year it's in Dallas. We partner with Ken McElroy, Robert Kiyosaki, a lot of really amazing people. No sales, just straight content, just amazing stuff. And kind of a cool announcement. We actually we have RFK coming this year. But more importantly, Steve Rozenberg will be there this year.
Thank you.
More importantly, RFK, who's that guy? I never heard of her. And so we've done a lot more events and different things like that. And so now kind of in doing a lot more events than real estate at the moment, and kind of led into this whole thing, which I can kind of share about that in a minute. But Tessa, tell the people who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Tessa Osborne, and like Steve was saying, we really felt that my husband and I, who is AJ Osborne, who they call the self-storage king, right? We've been married for 18 years and we have 4 kids. And so we were really young when we got started. My oldest is 16. And we were kind of like in the trenches, right, for a long time. And I don't know if a lot of you guys have felt that way. Like when you're raising kids, you feel like you're in the trenches, right? And we made the fatal error that we said out loud, everything seems to be going really good. Have you guys ever said that out loud? Don't say that. Don't say that out loud. Okay. We did knock on wood, and at the time, my husband was doing insurance, and insurance is a interesting business because you don't keep your clients, right? So you're on this treadmill at all times. So during that time period, my husband had been doing storage for a long time, but we had many insurance brokerages across the nation. And he's like, you know what? He kind of realized this error of not being able to preserve your clients. And so he was constantly on this treadmill. So we were taking all of our money and investing it into storage. We were building this company on the side while we were running this other company, and we were job hacking for many years. And things were seeming to go our way. And again, we didn't knock on wood. So my husband had a vaccine injury and became head to toe paralyzed. And we had just had our fourth baby, and he was like 3 months old, and my husband ended up in the ICU for 3 months. All he could do is see like out of his eyes, like maybe like a few feet in front of him, but he was completely trapped in his body. And here I am with 4 little children, and my husband, we don't know if he's going to make it, right? The doctors had no idea what was going on for a long time, and the paralysis keeps on rising, and he can no longer breathe, he can no longer talk, and he was completely trapped. Like, that is the epitome of what hell is, right? And you know, time is going on, and the doctors still don't know if he's going to make it. And so luckily, you know, we had made plans and we had the right insurance and everything to take care of us for a little bit. But he eventually came out of the hospital, and he came out in a wheelchair. And while he was in the hospital, his boss at the time came and said, "Hey, you're fired. You're not coming back." Because we had sold the brokerage. And so he was in contract to manage it for a while after that. So again, if we hadn't been investing in self-storage on the side, we would have had nothing. We were done, right? And so at that time, when he was in a wheelchair, him and I, we kind of looked at each other and we're like, what's next? What are we doing? You know? And that was a time we decided to go all in and be completely intentional with our lives. He went in on the storage side and went big, being really intentional about educating people on the entrepreneurship side, building businesses, building storage. And so he has a podcast and does all that. And I was like, you know what? I am really, really passionate about kids, and I need to find an education for my kids. And so I decided to start a private school that was it's a K-12 business private school for kids. And it's an all-day school and everything. And but I really felt like there was this hole missing in education on teaching kids basic personal finance skills, career readiness, and entrepreneurship. The education model today is not preparing kids for the real world. And so my husband and I, we decided, let's go all in on this. And so I don't know if you guys have ever felt like you were in the trenches with your kids at a time, but running a business and having kids at the same time, it's a hard life. It's a struggle every day, right? So when Nate brought up this idea of doing this family camp, I was all in. I'm like, this is something that when my husband was working so much, so many hours, and he'd come home, he would go to all these conferences, right? And have all these kind of groups like Steve's group, and come back and be like so excited. Hey, we talked about all these ideas, and I didn't have the buy-in, right? He had the buy-in. He was there. He felt the energy. He felt the excitement and all these cool ideas. And then he came back to the family, and here I am with kids crawling on me, right? And I didn't have the buy-in, right? Even though he tried to get me in. So when Nate was like, "Hey, I had this idea for like a family camp," I was like, this is what we need. This is what I needed for so long, was to be able to come together as a family. And you guys are all successful entrepreneurs, it sounds like. And how do we get our families all on board for this path of success, right? Because it's not just one man show, right? It's not, no man is an island. We all have to be in this together. And if your family isn't on board, a lot of rifts start happening, right? Even within your marriage, within your relationships. So I 100% was on board on this exciting adventure. We call it Foundations Family Camp. And I'm excited to get into what we're doing and the purpose of it. So
yeah. 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 Tessa and AJ are, man, such a, sometimes you think, oh yeah, my life's tough. And then you hear what they've gone through and how they've come out on the other side, the way they have. You're just like, yeah, you guys are better people than me. And yeah, yeah. So I have so much respect for what you guys have walked through on that. But basically, kind of AJ or Steve and Tessa have hit on kind of like on points of like the heart behind this camp. And so we've launched, it's called Foundations Family Camp. There's a really sexy video on the website with a really attractive guy talking about it. Just kidding. That's me. I made the video. The intro video is on there. So if you go to the website, you can check it out. But there's really kind of three things that, kind of Steve mentioned, like these masterminds and these like events that we would go to. And I go to a lot, and maybe you guys do too, like a lot of different masterminds, right? Like next month, I'm going to 4 or 5 different conferences, like a conference week off, conference week off, conference week off. And what I noticed is that there's usually the one entrepreneur that goes to these things, and the spouse is at home, and they kind of drive the family, and sometimes they drive them insane. Like, oh yeah, like Steve said, we're buying another property. Like, wait, what? Why are we doing that? Like, I don't get it. There's no buy-in from the family. They're just trying to hang on to this entrepreneur's vision or dream. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with pushing or trying to drive the family or going to chase your vision or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's something special about when your family's aligned together and like, oh yeah, we're doing this together. Okay, that makes more sense. And if you think about this, even if you're just starting out the entrepreneurship journey, my family growing up didn't even have really like this intense alignment. Like we kind of just functioned together. Like I did my thing, my brother did his thing, my mom did her thing, my dad did his thing, my sisters did their thing, and we all kind of just coexist together. But what would it look like for a family to actually come together and actually, hey, these are our values, this is our story, this is what we're doing, and we're doing it together. And so could we create an event for families to do that? And then 2, like to Tessa's point, and this is exactly why she was my first call on this, was our education system's busted. I don't know about how many of you guys, but you could go back to your 13-year-old self and be like, let me tell you a few things. Let me show you some tips and tricks to how to actually become a business owner. If you're all doing it now, you obviously have that drive and heart for it. So it's like, hey, let's go back. And I wish I could go back and tell myself this. Like my parents, like they did a really good thing for me. They cut my allowance off at 10, and that forced me to take the mower with my brother and go mow lawns. And so I was forced into entrepreneurship. They just never taught me how to build that or grow that. It was just kind of haphazardly creating this lawn business. And I wish there would have been more to that. And so what would it look like to create also an opportunity for us to invest in our kids, encourage them to entrepreneurship, and also like surround them with like amazing people like Steve? Because we all know that if our spouse and kids could just hang out with Steve one time, everything would be better, right? Yeah.
Good point.
We should all be shaking our head yes. Steve's watching. But to put people and our kids around successful individuals and help them, on their entrepreneurship journey. And then lastly is creating epic memories. That might seem a little cheesy, but I just did I sent out an email recently that on this, that like creating memories is actually one of the key things about creating closeness with your family. I shared this with our email list and stuff, but I met this family. They had like 10 kids, or there was 10 of them. There's like 8 kids and 2 parents or whatever. It was just insanely big family. But the weird thing was that they were like all super close. And I was like, why? Like, like my family doesn't have that. And there's only, 6 of us. Like, how do you guys have this closeness? And the short version or the short story is like, they just did things together. They created memories together. It was simple camping trips. It was, you know, all these little things, and it all added up to the point of like, we've hung out so much and we've had so many cool memories together. We just want to be together and we're close together. And so could we incorporate those three elements to create this amazing event? And so I think we have, and so I'm really excited about it. And our heart and soul is that our families would just have a stronger foundation. And because if we lose our family in the pursuit of entrepreneurship, like what do we have really? I don't know. And so could we?
Entrepreneurship really is not just a career path, right? It's a whole lifestyle. And if we're not all on board, it's going to be a lot harder of a journey for you, right? And to the point of spending that time with your family, what is the saying? Like, you can spend the money, but no one's going to remember that. But if you spend the time, that's the most important thing. The most important currency you can spend, because it's the most finite that there is time.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, you guys, you hit on a lot of important things. And, you know, again, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they get into this life because they want more time, but you can't create more time. No one gets 25 hours, right? So that's not even logical. We may say that we want more freedom, but you can't quantify freedom. I've never met anyone that said, man, I had so much freedom. It's what you do with the freedom, right? So I believe that you build a business that runs without you to create the ability to have time freedom to go create your memories. Because the memories are really what we're doing. I mean, you know, from losing my son, the only thing I have is the memories that we shared. After that, I don't have anything else. And so a lot of times, you know, we get so busy being busy, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I missed my son's baseball game. I missed this meeting. I missed that meeting, with no end in sight. And sometimes they call it a pattern interrupt. You need a reset. And I think what you guys are doing, I think, is great, because it's giving people pause, and it's giving them permission to stop, take a breath, look around, and go, you know what? It's okay if I stop for a minute. The world's not going to crumble by me stopping to go create memories for the whole reason I'm doing this.
Yeah. And I think that's really the thing. It's an intentional pause, right? And it's an intentional pause to invest in your family. And this isn't to say like your family's busted or there's something wrong with you guys or whatever, but it's like, it's just a small, you know, is a 4-day event going to solve all your problems? Probably not, but it's a step in the right direction. And it's an intentional pause to invest and make that small deposit with like-minded people and stuff. And so, so I really resonate with that. And Steve, like your story, man, like that's also one of those things that like obviously I consider you a close friend. And so to have you experience that loss, and it's like to hear you, like the only thing that you have is your memories, is your stories together. Like, and those are probably the most valuable things that you do have. Right. And stuff. And so how can we help you as a family create some of these same things? And so real quick, we have Mike and Lindsay McCarthy coming to talk about creating your family values and alignment. They wrote a book called Miracle Morning for Families. And they're the co-founders of GoBundance, if you're familiar with that organization as well. And so I wish we could send you the full Zoom call that we did with them, but such an amazing call with them. And I'm very excited for them to invest in our families. We have Rich and Kathy Fetke coming, and most of you guys know them maybe from like the Real Wealth Network, but they were also coaches for many years, Rich specifically. And so they are going to be talking about communication with our families and our kids. So it's going to be good. And then we have AJ Osborne coming to talk about generational wealth. And then for the kids program, we have the amazing Tessa Osborne, who's going to be doing the business launchpad for our kids. And so I'd love Tessa to talk about that in just a second. And then we have like we're at an adventure camp down in New Mexico. And so this is where I jazz out. And like, so like, this is like my inner child coming out, right? We're jumping off 5-story buildings. We have a 3-story water slide. We have mud pits. We have mountain scooters, mountain biking, putt, archery tag, all sorts of stuff. Like it's an adventure camp. So you're not going to be coming and just sitting around. You're going to be doing some cool stuff together. So anyway.
Yeah, and maybe if you guys could like just walk through what it consists of, what like what where New Mexico first of all, and then like what is the program consist of, like just a little bit more in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the camp is right outside of Santa Fe in Albuquerque. The camp is called Camp Glorieta, and it's situated up in the mountains, and it's absolutely gorgeous there. It's like he said, it's an adventure camp. It's super exciting up there, zip lines and all these exciting adventures. And Nate chose this camp for the specific reason of having that adventure part of this camp. And it has great facilities for sleeping, and food is all included and everything. But again, it's really this exciting part of bringing your family together to do hard things, right? I love the story of this hunt that was relayed to me one time. And he was talking about how when he goes on a hunt, he compares the two different ones, right? And there's this one that's a straight path that is smooth and easy, and he gets out there and the elk is just ready for him. He doesn't really even have to spend much time chasing it or anything. And he gets it and loads it up and heads out, right? Then he compares it to a different kind of hunt, and it's a hard path. It's snowing, it's steep, and the climb is hard. And he has to follow this ram for many, many miles and days, and it's cold, and all the challenges, right? He has to go over the log and climb up the cliff and everything to do it. And then once he actually gets the ram, he has to climb down the cliff and be precarious, but he remembers every step of the way. And he says that our brain is hardwired to do hard things, right? We don't create, our brain doesn't connect synapses without doing challenges and doing trials and hard things. So he remembers every little aspect of that hard hunt. He remembers nothing of the easy thing, right? And that's how it is in life. We have to do hard things, and that's how our brain works. And in life, if we are trying to make things that for our family and for our children, that is challenging, having them do hard things together helps you create more of that relationship and doing and making those memories together. And so Nate has expertly designed all these challenges for families. And
we're going to be hunting bulls. We're going to be hunting elk. That's what we're doing.
But we are going to be doing all these challenges and competing against each other, and using each other to make mistakes, right? And as a family, when your child's like, "Oh, mom, dad, do you remember when we had to do this and it was so hard and we failed?" And it's part of that experience of when you do hard things together with your family, you are overcoming obstacles, and you're learning together and you're growing together. And that was really the heart behind this, not only to be learning entrepreneurship and to create a amazing network of other entrepreneurs that think the same way as you, but to be doing hard things with your family. And I'll touch on the education part. So,
hold on, Tessa. Let's go back real quick. So, just like to give you guys a quick overview. Is that because that's Steve? That was your question. You kind of wanted to know the overview of like okay.
No, so, I mean, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Because then we'll go into this, because I would love for Tessa to kind of touch on the kids part, because like I think it's going to be super special. So basically for the rundown of the camp is the general schedule is first off, the facilities are super rad. So you're not going to be in like a cabin or a tent. You're going to be actually in like a hotel style dorm. It's like a Holiday Inn. So you're basically, it's kind of glamping a little bit. And then, so the morning program is going to be together family program. The kids are then going to break off, and there's going to be additional adult program. And then Tessa's going to take the kids and fix all their problems. All of them will be fixed over this weekend.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Guaranteed.
Tough crowd. Guaranteed. If you know you're in real estate, I always say guaranteed. Then we'll have lunch. And then to Tessa's point, we're going to be having some ultra amazing team competitions. And then you have free time with your family to go out and create your own adventures, whether or not you want to go hiking or mountain biking or whatever you want to do. And then that evening, come back for dinner, and then we'll have a short family programming where we're all together. And then we have these amazing parties every night. So that's kind of the way it's going to be. And yeah, it's just I'm really special. So and then, so Tessa, why don't you maybe just hit on, so Tessa's creating, and we're trying to build this out in a more long form thing. So this goes beyond camp. Have some ideas where maybe we'll get Steve involved to impart all the wisdom of helping our kids buy real estate. I'm just going to put that out there now. So he's forced to do it. But Tessa, why don't you tell them a little bit about the business launch pad for the kids and kind of what the kids are going to be learning and the kind of our goal for that.
Yeah, so I just want to raise a hand real quick in the audience. How many of you, like through your K through 12 education, actually learn anything about personal finance, about money, about anything like that, right? Anybody? I think I see crickets. I think it's the experience of 75 to 80% of everyone never had any kind of education at all about money in their schooling. And that is a really sad statistic. And the problem is that the school system sets it up that way on purpose, right? So with the history of the school system, it was set up for Rockefeller, right? Rockefeller wanted to have an educated workforce, right? And so him and Horace Mann, they got together and they found a model called the Prussian model that promised amazing things, and that was a compliant citizen and an obedient citizen, right? And those were two great things to do for a workforce, right? To be compliant and to be obedient. And one thing that it really did was it removed the family from the core education, right? From being the primary source. And so now you have a government who is your primary source, right? And so this is the main problem. Our families have now been removed from our children's lives, right? For those 8 hours a day. And then after school, the government and the school system saying, wait, I'm the pretty one. Now I'm going to give you 2 to 3 hours of homework afterwards too, right? And that's a huge problem. Now you're taking the kids away from family activities, right? You're taking the kids away from church activities or, being children. They're, again, forced to have all their attention on back to the school system. And so when you are creating a compliant, obedient employee, right, they don't want you to be thinking of being able to create things on your own, right? And so they're not teaching you about how to handle money, how to create, how to build, how to have multi-generational money. They don't want you to do that. They want you to be cranking and being in part of the assembly line. And that's not what we want. We want kids to be free thinkers, to be able to do what creates and be able to build a whole empire of their own, right? And we hope that families can be coming back together and have that primary source be the focus again. And it's really going to take us to and filling out a Scantron. That is part of, right? Like, we are wasting so much time in the education system that we are filling out Scantrons. That actually was a big part of the thing, was having everything be the same from school to school to school to school, right? And having that testing system was a big part of it, right? And, those are some major flaws in the education system. And, I'm a board member on a nonprofit called Junior Achievement, and their mission is career readiness, entrepreneurship, and personal finance. And they've had this beautiful point of, we're all playing this game, right? But nobody gives us the rules. We're just playing the game. So how do you go out onto the field without knowing the rules of the game? Right? We have a huge problem. And it's not just like what Steve said in the chat earlier. It's not just a United States issue. This is a global issue. We're all part of an economy, a global economy, but nobody knows how to play the game, right? And so we get out after graduating, we get out into the world. And if you didn't have an at-home education, if your parents aren't talking about this with you guys at the dinner table or bringing you onto the job site with you or whatever it is that your industry is, or bringing them to different industries and exposing them to different mindsets and everything, your kids aren't going to have education. They're going to have to, again, not that it's bad to fail and learn, right? But how much is the trajectory going to be if your kids had mentors, had a little bit of an education before they get into the world compared to their peers? They're going to be here, and that's going to be their start off point compared to here, right? So let's give our families, let's give our kids every edge we can give them to be prepared for the world. So I'm excited because part of my curriculum that I've built out for my school system, we have a classroom economy, and our kids, they come to school every day and they are required to pay bills and to have a job, and they are encouraged to invest and build businesses within the classroom. And the goal is to have a financially free life, right? And so we're teaching those concepts every single day within the classroom. And then we do financial education twice a week that is dedicated to building businesses and to personal finance. And so we wanted to be able to bring this program to many more people. And so we created this business launchpad with Nate, and it's really exciting. We're going to be bringing the kids together, and we're going to be introducing them to entrepreneurship concepts. And again, as you are all entrepreneurs, you understand that the business fundamentals, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you go into, right? Having those fundamentals is a very, very important thing. If you can sell something, you're going to get really far, right? Because it's not just about selling a product. It's not just about selling a service. It's about selling yourself, right? And if you can sell yourself and be able to get people in on your vision, you're going to be able to get really far, right? So whether you're going to become an artist, how do you sell your art? How do you get out there? How do you do that, right? If you want to become a doctor, how do you run a family practice? Even if you want to be a stay-at-home mother, how do you run a financially stable household, right? Those are all concepts that if you learn business fundamentals, you will be able to run a successful household, right? And that is the goal, is that you will be able to have a financially free home and be able to protect your family, be able to be secure, be able to have that freedom. And so those are some really exciting things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be teaching the kids, again, the basics of entrepreneurship. And we're going to be diving into business plans and going into really like, what is your product? What is your service? What problems are you solving, right? And in all your industries, I heard that there are many different industries within this group. You guys are all solving a problem for people, and let's figure out how to do that. And creating critical thinkers, creating that mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset. That's what we all have, right? And when we bring our whole family into this entrepreneurial mindset, it's a mindset of creating change and solving problems. And that's what we are here. And so when you come together and we're solving problems, we're going to be learning how to create a product, doing basic marketing skills, and being able to create a logo and creating a brand around it. And then being able to make it a quality product and do some sales pitching and stuff. So that's going to be really exciting. And so we're going to be hopping on, and then during that time, the adults will be separated, and we're going to be giving them some adult programming with Rich and Kathy and Mike and Lindsay. And then we're going to come together as a whole family again. And then that's the time where you're going to come and you're going to create your goals, create your values. And I think that's a really exciting opportunity. Nate, do you want to kind of talk about that part?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say real quick that Tessa is underselling how amazing her school is in Boise, like, and how great of a job she's did down there. So, yeah, it's pretty spectacular what she's doing. So it's really special to have her invest in our kids. And how many of you guys know this? This is not. I don't want this to be a political statement, but how many of you guys know that any kid with half an ounce of drive in this coming generation will absolutely clean house, absolutely clean house. There's no like, man, I don't know. I just look at that and I think, man. And then the other aspect to this, and is the fact that you're putting these kids around other like-minded families and individuals. And it's like, you can't force friendship with kids, but how many of you guys know that, like, I had a lot of mentors growing up, and they would say, show me your 5 closest friends and I will show you your future. Right? I will show you where you're going based on the friends that you have. And so is there a way to put our kids in environments like, I don't know, how many guys know Rich and Kathy Fetke? You guys know them? I don't know them. Okay. If you did, just putting your kids in a room with them is like, it would be incredible. Or could you imagine if, like, your kids could come and hang out with Steve and get thrown around in the mud pit, with Steve Rozenberg? I mean, what kind of impact that would have on their, like, mentality? It's like, okay, I hang out with my deadbeat friends that want to smoke pot all the time, or here's this guy that is like got muscles on muscles and is like doing all this cool stuff. And it's like, you're putting them in an environment where they're going to be elevated. And so you're almost giving them a Harvard level network for the price of camp, right? Where it's like, okay, now Tessa's taught them how to launch create a business plan. We know how to pitch a product. We know how to define a value statement. Like, and then they come to you, mom, dad, like, I got a legit business. Like I want to launch this thing. Cool. Well, let's call Uncle Steve. He knows you. He's been on your relay team every year. Let's call him and see if he'd fund it. Let's get a pitch together and do that. Or it's like, hey, this is a legit business. I need to talk. Why don't we call Uncle AJ and see if his legal team will take a look at your stuff. Right. And so you're just giving them that network to build and kind of have a platform to build upon. So
I think one thing that I'd like to just kind of point out, and a couple of questions I had is, it's the, as you said, Nate, birds of a feather flock together, right? I know for a fact that I am better off because I have you guys as friends, and not even just financially, but just, when I lost, when Renee and I lost Jet, I mean, Grace basically moved into my house for like a week and a half and was cooking for me. And she's like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to keep cooking and taking care of you. And these are friends that I know from investing, but all of a sudden you realize it's not just investing. It's the community. So I think that this is my opinion. I don't know if you guys are underselling the community aspect of what happens to their life when they leave, because there's a lot. It's not, like you said, it's not just going to the gym one time. I'm assuming, I don't know this, I'm assuming then there's some sort of community or something or environment post event that they're going to be in, because listen, I can honestly say, being friends with people like, AJ, Tessa, Brandon, Tarl, all these guys and girls that we've met, you're like, wow, I'm a better person as a result of it. Not even real estate or financial, just I've got good people that really believe in me and they understand the goodness. They don't take me to Blockbuster event in Bend, but other than that, it's okay. But I just think that I think I don't know that people understand until you've been in that. Like, oh, you went to some Maui mastermind and with Brandon Turner, big deal. It's like, it wasn't the mastermind. Like, I honestly don't even remember what we discussed at the mastermind. We probably, none of us do when we go to these masterminds a year or 2 years later. But that was in 2019, and we all are still such close friends. That's the thing that I think is like the environment that, if I was looking at a piece of property, I could call any of these people and go, hey, what do you, or a business opportunity, or just a, hey, I got to bounce something off you. Am I crazy? And I don't think that, maybe you guys do, I don't know, but realize the value of the community that when you go to something like this, especially for your kids. I mean, I never had anything. I don't think any of us have had anything like this. I don't think it exists. I think we're seeing the need for it, and we're seeing some of these things pop up, like schools and education from entrepreneurs. So there's obviously a need, but I mean, I'm just curious, has anyone gone to something like this before or heard of this? Because when Nate was telling me about it, I was like, wow, that is really cool. And again, I just think that the post event of the life that they will be encompassed in, I think is I don't even know how you'd put a value on that, because it's not something that I ever had, so I couldn't even create it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
You know, being, like I said before, being an entrepreneur is a really lonely road a lot of times, right? And so being able to connect with people who have the same challenges as you, and again, and no matter what industry it is, you're going to be facing the same challenges as an entrepreneur, right? You're going to be dealing with employees, and you're going to be dealing with, so many challenges. And being able to talk to somebody and be able to relate to somebody that has those similar or challenges, right? I know it's hard to um, bring that home and not being able to even talk to your spouse about it sometimes as well, because that is hard, right? You don't want to bring the heavy stuff home.
Yeah.
And so being able to have a network where you can be real and be open about those things is really important for your mental health even, right? And so being able to connect and bring your family in and say, okay, I'm going to open you up to this world where I have found peace as an entrepreneur, right? I have found my people, and I want my family to be a part of that, right? I want to bring in my husband or my wife and show them other spouses that are going through the same road as you, right? That you guys also have kids at home, and it's a challenge every day for mom and dad to be working all the time, right? Because as an entrepreneur, how often do you put your phone down, right? You're working all the flipping time. And it is a hard, challenging road. And
Hey,
again,
don't talk about the phone usage. That's not nice.
That's over the
but
line.
and something about when Mike and Lindsay come, I think it's an amazing opportunity for us with their book that they wrote. They really are going to help us and guide us through a lot of those challenges that we have as entrepreneurs, and being able to put parameters on us. I think we are always on the freeway going 100 miles an hour. And we need to sometimes pull over at a rest stop, and that's okay. It's okay to rest and to be able to refuel and have these parameters put on us, right? And so, and as a family saying, this is who we are, right? I'm going to use my family as an example. We are Osborns. These are our values. This is what we're going to do as a family together, right? And sitting down and saying, this is who we are. This is our story, right? In today's world, this is something that I was really surprised about as an operator of a school, is that I found that families don't talk anymore. They don't sit around a dinner table anymore, right? It is really hard to connect and sit down and actually have real conversations. And so we're not passing down our family story anymore, right? Generations of challenges and of successes, of gallantries, right? We're not passing our stories down anymore. And that's a travesty that we're facing. Let's have a time, let's have an intentional moment of saying, we are Osborns. This is who you are. This is what we're striving for. These are our values that we're going to create together. We're going to create a family motto. We are strong. We are passionate. We are creators, right? Who are we? We're going to have that moment to sit down with your family and design your life. You're going to be CEO of your life, right? And you're going to have a life by design. And I think that's really powerful to do that with your family.
One thing real quick that I was thinking about as you were talking, and I'd like to get if anybody has any questions as well. One thing that I was thinking about is like, as an entrepreneur, when you're burnt out and you need that break, your way of permission of taking that break is you take the family on vacation. But what are you doing on vacation? You're constantly thinking about what you're not doing at work. So you're really not present, right? Or you're in the corner on the phone or texting, trying to make a deal happen or whatever, dealing with employee problems, whatever. So you're not disconnected, but you're going like, hey, I'm checking both boxes, right? Chase two rabbits, catch none, right? So you're on vacation, but you're really not enjoying it. What I was thinking about as you were talking, I was like, this is the opportunity to go on vacation, have permission to disconnect, have permission to enjoy what you're doing, and bring your family into this lonely world that you're in. But something else, as you were talking, I kind of thought of, I'm like, from a parent perspective, as an entrepreneur, the net worth of the people that are going to be at this event, because they are all of us are entrepreneurs, and what we have built as entrepreneurs. And now you could start having conversations with someone that you probably would not normally get to just have a one-on-one conversation at a table what do you do? And you're with entrepreneurs that when you have entrepreneurial challenges in the future, you may have a relationship we have built, me and, all these people from the Maui and other that's grown since then. But I was thinking like the entrepreneurial network that you are creating outside of your little circle. I mean, listen, when I went to Brandon, spoke for Brandon at Better Life, Tarl said, hey, we're going to do something for you, for your son, Jet, for the foundation. And I was like, oh, that, really kind of you. Well, everyone stepped in, AJ, I mean, everybody, Brandon, and they raised $130,000 in 2 days for my son's foundation to help other kids. Do you think if I didn't know these guys and we didn't have a relationship, I would have said, hey, I want you to build a foundation and I want you to do this for me? They would have been like, who the fuck are you? Like, we don't even know you. So it just, my point is I think there's multiple layers in the value of this. It's the camp is kind of the seed, right? You're planting the seed. The root structure past that, I don't even know if you guys probably don't even know where it's going to go and what it's going to do. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen at the Maui Mastermind. Right. What are we? We're 5 years into this thing, and we're all closer than ever, minus the Bend, Oregon trip that I didn't get invited to. But other than that, we're good friends. But I just wanted to bring that up because I think there's a lot. I think people need to really understand how encompassing this thing is. That's just my opinion, just from hearing what you guys were talking about. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, that really is the heart of it. Like that, 5 years, 10 years down the road, like we're still doing this, and you go to your camp with your people, and it's just, it is that community that builds out over time. And I don't think you can understate the value of community and doing this together with like-minded individuals. Like, I was talking to somebody early on, they're like, oh man, like how easy, maybe this is just me, how easy is it to like invest in your team, in your business? Like, hey, we need to have a coaching call, or let's bring in this person to talk and bring in an expert to help us elevate our business and have critical conversations with our team. But then when it comes to our family, it's like, oh, and we kind of like sidestep that and make excuses. Oh, we'll get to that later. And we don't, and that can feel overwhelming to make an investment. But I was talking to Mike and Lindsay about this, and it's like, like the thought of having to make an investment in your family can feel overwhelming, but that's why you do it in community, because then you're not doing the heavy lift on your own. You're not having to do it by yourself. You're doing it around with like other people. And that community aspect is such a critical piece of growing in this way. And I was going to say, yeah, I mean, and then even if you want to go like super deep, like we all know that like our kids like start becoming buttholes at like 11 13 whatever. They start kind of like thumbing their fingers at parents like, well, dad, you said, or mom, you said, and that's stupid. But then Uncle Steve will say the same exact thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, Uncle Steve said that. And so it's weird. I heard something recently that said that that's like a biological thing in kids to force us to leave the tribe and go not interbreed with our own tribe. It'll force us, like we just want to reject and go off. And so essentially what you're doing is you're putting positive voices around your kids and around your family. Yeah. So it is like, hey man, I'm really struggling. Tessa, can I just hop on the call with you? Or you've already walked through this with 4 kids. You had this major medical emergency. How did you handle that? Or, whatever. And it really is. And we all know that even with the uncertainty of this nation and all the things that we're facing with like economic collapse and all this craziness, you're going to survive and you're going to thrive if you have community. And so, yeah, Steve, and there's no way to put a real value price tag on that. But yeah, it is a core thing for us. And our hope is that this builds out to be something that's long-term, that these are lifelong friends that kind of develop out of this.
Yeah. And I know we've got like 5-10 minutes left. Does anybody have questions as far as what they're doing, timeframes, when it is, if they're interested in it? You can just unmute yourself if you want and just talk direct. Derek said yes, those questions.
Well, there was one question about being age, like, what age group is this for? And I would say like, it is just publicly say that like, it's for all ages. It's going to be age specific. So 5 and under is going to be, 4 and under is going to be in daycare. So we have unlimited daycare for $200. So hang out with your kid. not ideal, but if you don't want to, you can. But then there's age specific stuff, and we're working on something really special for the older kids. But I don't want to give away that just yet. So, but it will be age specific and appropriate for each age. So,
and when is it?
September 12th through the 15th.
Okay. So next month.
Right. Yeah. About a month away.
Can you guys put the website link in there so they can, it may already be in there. I didn't see, but.
I got it.
Does anybody have any questions that you may have for them while they're here that, just out of curiosity? I mean, I think it's great. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And I think that you guys are I don't even know if you realize the impact you're going to create. The tsunami, I would say, of impact that's going to be as a result of this. And I think that you're going to have people that are going to thank you for many, many years. You may not even, you're like, for what? Like, I don't think people are going to understand how much value they're getting. Like I said, I say that because when we were in Maui, it was like, oh, we're going to this mastermind. All these guys, this guy's tall, skinny guy with a beard. Who's he? Like, okay, we'll go. And I would say, we have become lifelong friends, for that, minus the Bend incident. But other than that, it's fine. But I just think that nobody knew the impact of this, because listen, life happens, losing my son, nobody ever saw that. But this is one of those things that we realize, like, wow, that's when you need your friends. That's when you need that community, and everybody stepped up. We got two people raising their hand.
So real quick, at that point, Steve, like when we really joined a lot of these groups, it is amazing how fast we grew, AJ and I. We went from a few hundred or a million or so, and we're at $500 million portfolio, right? And I really can say like that was because of our network we grew. And I think that's a huge proponent of what we're trying to achieve here is your network is your net worth. It really is. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Cheryl, what questions you got, Cheryl?
I had asked the age group thing. I actually have two daughters that are one will be 23 in a couple of months and the other's 27. And so the one is definitely entrepreneurial, but is, in a job, but has these ideas of things that she wants to do and stuff like that. So is that too old? I mean, are you going to like 18 and then that's it? Or
so we are focusing more on like the primary and secondary kids, so through 18. But if you're bringing that age group, I think that's great as well. You're going to be doing more of the family programming and the adult programming. So you won't be part of like the children's entrepreneurship part, but you'll be more of the mindset and the growing together and coming together and setting your values and creating that network part. So they'd be part of the adult programming.
Do you guys only do this once a year, or how often do you do it?
Yeah, so right now it's once a year, and we may be changing locations every year, but right now we're going to try it next year. This date wasn't the most fabulous date that we could get. We're hoping to be more central summer next year, so it's a little bit more advantageous for families. But yes, our every year, once a year, we're going to be getting together.
Yeah. As this grows, we might throw in a couple of winter camps and a couple of specialty camps as well. But for now, just keeping it.
Is there a one? And I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot, but I'll put you on the spot. When this is over, is there any like communication for people that like? It's not like, okay, see you guys next year. Take care. Suck it. Good luck to you. Or is it like we're gonna keep doing something to for the kids? They may go, man, that was awesome, but how do you keep them going?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the things we're working on, I should let you talk about it. We wanted to do, go ahead. You talk about it, Tessa. You can talk about it.
Oh yeah. When we got together to do this event, the whole goal is that we're building a community that will continue, and we're continuing education, and we're going to be, our goal is to be meeting up monthly and probably more like this kind of format with your kids and with your families, and to be building out that community and that continual education, and to be a support system of what building out and helping those kids be able to grow in their ideas and their developments and support that. And Nate is actually working on getting a pretty high level person to talk to our kids, which is going to be really exciting post camp. So I won't reveal who it is, but it's pretty exciting. And so, but our goal is to continue this and to be giving resources to our kids and our families continually, and to be checking in on each other and working towards the goal of creating this amazing network.
So yeah, so the idea would be like, yeah, like a once a month touch point, especially for the kids. And then,
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's valuable. Alex, you had a question?
Yes. Oh, I thought I lowered my hand. It's a little off topic. I did check out the foundations camp. That's great. But I'm also looking at the Innovate Academy at the same time. I noticed that there is a calendar saying something about the Meet the Teacher night, all grades. I'm just curious if that would be open to everyone, whoever flies over to check it out. That sounds like an amazing.
I think you could come over. So that is happening here in the next, is it the next week? I'm sorry, I don't have the calendar, but yeah, I'm sure you can come check it out and go do that. I know I'm in the works of starting another school as well, and it would be under a different brand, but to take it nationwide. And so if you're interested in that, we could talk more about that. But my partners who started the school with me, they did not want to continue. They only wanted this one campus. So my goal is to take it and make a franchise model so that we can build this model out for many more kids, but keep it more as a micro school. So this kind of idea of small classroom sizes, of more intimate classrooms and more one-on-one time with the teachers. So that's my goal. And so we've been working on that, and yeah.
Awesome.
Colin asked Steve how to do this. I didn't tell you we're gonna do this, but because you're friends and I still owe you for Bend.
You owe me big for Bend, for the record. Just throwing that out there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, because I screwed up and hurt my friend's feelings, you guys are going to be reaping the benefits of that. But what we wanted to do, so Tess and I were talking about this for your community, as long as they don't share this code out broad spectrum. So please do not put this on Instagram. Please do not put this publicly. But we wanted to extend a special offer for this group for the next 7 days, to basically give you camp at cost. So this is not going to cost the full amount that you see on the website. And so if you guys here, I'll just put it in the group chat. If you use this code, if you want to come and use that code, and that will basically give you camp at cost. But we just honestly, I know Steve and I joke around a lot, but like the work that you're doing with this group and what you're doing with like your events and different things like that. Like I've seen the transition of Steve from property management to what he's doing now. And I think it's just absolutely incredible, like the communities that you're creating and the impact that you're having. And I appreciate your support and impact in my life, despite our Bend adventure. And so this is just a small way. I mean, appreciate you giving us a platform to talk about something that we're passionate about, but wanted to at least extend this special offer to your community. And then if there's somebody, like, I know people are going to watch this after the fact. If you have somebody that's outside this group, you're like, man, this would be really good for them. If maybe it's a family member, whatever, let us know, like reach out to us, and we'd be happy to talk about it before you send it out to them. But yeah, definitely wanted you to have that.
Yeah, and just to your point, if you guys, if anybody had, if you're like, man, I know someone that I think this would be good for, and you know, there, Tessa, if you want to reach out to me and I can make the connection for you guys, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
But again, I think, you know, if you think about it, in my opinion, is if you're gonna take your family on a vacation anyways at some point in the next year or two, why not try something different and take them to build a tighter bond, be a part of a community, and do something for their future, not just for 2 weeks in Maui. Not that there's nothing wrong with Maui, but you know, you're going there to really not solve a problem. You're just trying to appease two people. It's better to go there with intention. If you're going to spend money on a vacation, spend your vacation on this. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? You can get closer to your family. You can create a community. You can have some amazing lifetime friends, and you could actually make a difference in your family's lives, as opposed to pictures of you riding turtles around in the water. You know, so I think there's a lot to be said about that.
I mean, I do love turtles. I do love turtles.
Yes, I do
Tessa,
too.
Tessa, can we get turtles at camp, please?
Done. Well, and to Alex's point, he was saying that they don't have kids yet, but can we still be part of this and come to the adult sessions, the family sessions? And like, when I think about, we've been married for 18 years, my husband and I, if he would have brought me in sooner, how much like pain we could have avoided, how much misunderstanding we could have avoided if we would have set up like kind of the rules of engagement at the very beginning of what it means to be this entrepreneur family, right? What is my buy-in? What are we going to do when we bring kids into the mix, right? I think having these critical conversations early on and creating that foundation is super important. So I would encourage, if you don't have kids and you're like, this is our goal, is to have a strong family and what it means to do this. And we're setting up, you know, here are our parameters, right? I think that's a really smart idea to do. And I think you're going to be setting yourself up for success from the very beginning.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've had this conversation with a couple other people that are either just having a newborn or same situation where, and it's like, listen, man, just have the conversation early, like define your values. What's your story? How are you going to communicate about this kind of stuff? And so, yeah, absolutely. As a precursor to having kids, 100%. Absolutely. I think
and look, this is where, the one thing I can say, you know, and this is where wealth is created. These kind of ideologies, these kinds of concepts, this is what you need to focus on to create wealth. You know, not making money, but creating generational wealth to get the buy-in with your family, to get everyone. I think these kinds of things I think are awesome. And I think over time, we'll probably see more and more of this as more of us entrepreneurs. You know, I think, you know, I've always believed that at first you do the first half of your life, second half of your life, you teach or give back. And, you know, I'm in that point that I speak, I teach, I give back. I'm good with that. I'm good with where I'm at. Now I want to teach and give back. And I think there's a lot to be said. And you may be at a point in your life that you don't know, but if you have a family, it's kind of at some point, it's your obligation to start giving back and getting in the mindset. It's not like you flip a switch one day and you're like, okay, now you need to know how to do this and you need to give back. It's like, you didn't plant the seed. That should have been done 20 years ago, right? And, you know, creating that mindset, that culture that's going to live on without you generationally. And I think these are the things that you do to be different. Colin said something, I saw something.
Yeah, he asked, as a newborn count as in the family size. So yes, the newborn counts, but the pricing is free. So if you're 5 and under, they're actually coming for free. And then you can just,
I think his newborn is like 30 days. I think it's like
like
very new. So
yeah. So that'd be great. And then so they would actually be free, but just still register them, and then if you're 30 days old, then probably you're not going to want daycare. But
and when we say register, like, you're not going to be choosing a family of 3, you'll be choosing a family of 2. But there's an email that comes afterwards, and you just fill out their names, because we want to have their information. And when we're packing the bags, we're going to be putting special stuff in there. So
cool.
Yeah. And you know what? Something like, to your point earlier, it's, as a family, we're developing our why. right? Like, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you putting yourself through all this pain every day of being an entrepreneur? But, right? I think you got to think about what your why is. And for many of us, it's not just about building, but it's building something for your family, right? And I think all of us have to think about, are we training our replacement? And how are we training them right now, right? And so I think, when you're thinking about a family and multi-generational family, like that is our goal, is to be training our replacement and getting them ready and someday passing that torch. And so I think about what your why is and why you're grinding every day. And it's for our families, right?
Yeah. Well, guys, I know we went over, so I apologize for taking more of your time, but I thought it was a good message that that you should get out. And again, I think that if they want to ask you guys more questions or learn about it, if it's okay, I'd rather them go directly to you so I don't fuck it up. If that's okay. And do you guys mind giving them your information or email and the thing, just in case people have certain questions or something, and or through the website or something, so they can stay involved and kind of be involved in it?
Yeah, Tessa, do you want to put your info in there?
Absolutely. I will send you my email, and then we can chat. Let's hang out. Let's have your family hang out with my family. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, I mean, your kids and you guys are gonna hang out with some amazing people, and mostly Tessa and AJ. That's the coolest. Steve would have come this year, except for he's already committed to a conference. So next year, we're gonna get you.
Next year in Bend, Oregon, we're gonna have it.
This is good. I like it. But no, thanks Steve for having us. Thank you for everybody for listening and being a part of this. And then that's my email and cell. And then so if you guys have any questions on that, if we can answer any questions, clarify anything, please. And then just appreciate the opportunity.
I hope our message kind of resonated with you guys and your experience. So thank you again for listening and coming today.
Yeah, thank you guys. And again, if we can support our friends, like I try to do, support them. They're trying to do they're trying to do a good thing for the right reasons. And I think that there's not many people out there that you're gonna find that do that. And when you find those people, you need to cherish them, and you need to embrace them, and you need to really think about, how could it change your life or your family's lives? And that's kind of what I think about. So guys, thank you so much for being here today. You guys are freaking awesome. Unfortunately, I won't see you guys at that event, but I will see you at Limitless in a couple weeks up in Dallas, and hanging out with the crew and having a good time and stuff. So that'll be fun. So guys, thank you so much again. As always, everybody on the call, I know some people dropped off at the 30 mark, but thank you guys for staying on and being respectful. And hopefully you guys got something out of this. And maybe if anything, it gave you some time to pause and think and kind of think about what you're doing. So there's their information. If anybody wants to, if you didn't get it or you want more information, just reach out to me and I'll make the connection and go from there. So guys, thank you so much. Nate, Tessa, love you guys. Thank you. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye now.